considered to be a tough team. And with the 2 wins over Wilmington, I think it gave them the strength that they needed going down the stretch. I think it's going to be interesting tonight. We've talked about it many, many times before, but I think the key, we know Howard's strengths is in their guards, but I think the key is going to be what happens with their inside game and how effective Carl Lemon and Raheem can be inside.
Should be a very interesting game tonight. We have 2 of the top teams in school history playing for both of these clubs. Howard, always a good ball club, and Cape, usually the top team from downstate. It's the number 2 rated Wildcats of Howard taking on the number 10 rated Vikings of Cape Henlopen, and we're back with the introduction of the starting lineup right after these words.
We're back at Glasgow High School. Steve Turnberger, Joe Thompson, Angelo Rossi just settling in here courtside. Keith Donovan being announced as the point guard for Cape Henlopen, and also Stan Waterman for Howard. That should be an excellent matchup. A couple of seniors who have accumulated a lot of experience for their respective schools. Brittingham will go on a guard along with Donovan. And remember, Harold Hazard, the top player for Cape Henlopen in the scoring department, he will be coming off the bench wearing number 20. Also for Howard, Bilal Rahim. It looks like Bilal is sporting a pair of new blue high tops. They're going to be nice tonight. Number 30 out on the floor is Dean Smith for Cape Henlopen. Brad Milton for Howard, one of the leading scorers on the ball club. He will be wearing number 10 tonight for the Wildcats. The Cats representing the home team tonight here at Glasgow. They're in the top half of the lower bracket for the 1984 state tournament. Tony Zigman, the center, the other starter for Cape, and also starting for the Wildcats of Howard, Carl Lemon. He'll wear number 44 and work the inside. Also Vincent Kent for Howard, who has played played some great basketball later on in the season. And Joe, since he got his starting spot, he has been on fire for Howard.
I think that he's been doing a nice job for them. Of course, they really were hurt with the loss of English, but he can do a lot more things than English has done, and it's helping them down the stretch right now.
Here's your national anthem from Glasgow High School. Cape and Howard just about set. And Howard. And Joe, getting back to Vincent Kent, Howard did lose one of their leading scorers, Albert English, about a month ago, but Vince Kent has come on, done a great job for the Wildcats.
Yeah, the point I was making was Vince Kent does a lot more things for them. I think he's a better rebounder. He plays very good defense, and he can score. AJ seemed to be a scorer for him, but they seemed to look for him, and they sometimes got him out of their offense a little bit. And now I think they're a little bit even more balanced. And we had talked about it earlier in the year when we had Howard on.
Angie, Cape and Howard, who do you like tonight?
I'm going to have to stick with the Howard Career Center off of previous performance and their streak. You know, they lost to Concord the other night, but as I had mentioned in one of our previous shows, we felt last year that it was really to our benefit, after all was said and done, to have lost that last game of the season to St. Mark's. Going into the tournament, we had a different resolve now. We knew we could be beaten. We didn't think we were invincible anymore. It's going to be a good one.
We're set. Josh Bain to get things underway. First round tournament action. Stanley Waterman tracks it down. Couple of the Wildcats with new shoes tonight. Vincent Kent right off the top, missing the jumper. Keith Donovan controls. Number 15, one of the top guards in the state. Up court quickly. Cape running early, but Carl Lemon with the rebound. Here's Brad Milton wearing number 24, and Brad has it flicked away. Donovan with the basketball.
The teams are a little tight, and we're going to have to expect to see that. I don't expect to see much scoring here in these first 2 minutes until we calm down. Typical feeling in the opening round of a tournament. Both teams coming out really aggressive, wanting to go. Howard's starting in a 2-3 zone tonight.
Howard in the white with the blue trim. Cape in the light blue with the gold trim. Just underway first quarter. Cape at 14-6. Howard comes in at 20-3. Lemon with a steal. Both clubs with, let's see, Cape has 2 turnovers, Howard with 1. Only 1 shot has been taken for Howard. That was by Vince Kent. Tony Brittingham has taken the only shot for Cape Henlopen, and Waterman's going to pick up his first personal foul.
Cape's coming out in a man-to-man, and Howard hasn't seen a lot of man-to-man down the stretch here late in the season, and seems as if they're a little bit confused right now getting set up and attacking that man-to-man defense.
In talking to Bud Hitches before the game, that's one of the things they felt they had to do to Howard, switch up defensively. And he said they were going to see a lot of man-to-man, 1-3-1 half-court trap.
I think you're right, Ange. I think that's the move you got to go with against Howard. If there's one thing I think they are a little weak at, and that is adapting the difference. Here's a switch up on defenses now.
Rodney Smith hitting the first jumper of the ball game.
The dominant 1 half-court press.
Donovan on the top of it. Very quick, number 15. Donovan near steal. Lemon has an easy layup.
Nice look inside.
Earl Lemon with his first bucket.
Hey, the Wildcats are sporting some new shoes tonight. Got the good-looking Wildcat blue Nikes on.
Except for Carl. Carl must have put the reverse order in. He's got them the other way around.
Donovan hooked by Milton. Donovan, an excellent quarterback with Jim Alderman's Cape football team. Second team All-Stater this year. Milton with an air steal, and Waterman will come down with it. 3-on-2.
That's great.
Lemon, 4-2 Wildcats. Carl's got all 4 for the Howard Career Center. 5:57, opening quarter. Couple of upsets this afternoon. Dickinson losing on the road to Delmar. Brandywine knocking off Sanford. Kent coming in with a board. Milton. Wildcats are on fire. 6-2. Cape Henlopen finishing second in a tie with Sussex Central and Henlopen North play. Those clubs finishing at 10-5 in the conference. They split during the regular season, and then they conducted a coin toss this past week. Sussex winning the toss, and thus Cape being the number 3 team in Henlopen North, having to come up and take on the Wildcats. Here comes Waterman. Baseline, Stanley, bounce pass. Knocked out of bounds off the leg of Keith Donovan. It'll be Wildcat basketball under their own bucket. 5:08 to play opening quarter at 6-2 Howard. Lob. And Raheem got it stripped. Nice move by Brittingham.
Raheem slipped down there. Could have had a 2-on-2. He slipped, and Cape ended up on a 2-on-1 and really took advantage of it.
Troy Brittingham with the bucket. 6-4. Kent, don't give him that jumper. Knock it down. 8-4.
Cape's going to have to do a lot better job at dropping their weak side man back down inside to stop that opposite corner pass. And Howard's doing a nice job right now swinging the ball and hitting the man in the opposite corner. I think they're bringing that press out just a little bit too much, Ange.
Personal foul on Milton.
That's a good point, Joe. Cape's press right now, they wanted to get into that 1-2-1-1 and put a little pressure and try to slow Howard down. Howard just lobbing it right over top. Troy Brittingham picking up the push-off foul and an illegal pick. But you're right, Cape's going to have to drop back a little bit more quickly when that lob pass goes over top, or Kent's going to buzz him all night long with that jumper.
First foul on Brittingham, second on Cape. Wildcats also with 2 personals. Steal by Gibbs. Been some Gibbs brothers that have played some great basketball at Cape. Remember Hertford Gibbs. Donovan from deep. Nothing but net for Keith Donovan, 8-6.
Well, look, the interesting point right now is Cape's playing a little bit still tight and a little bit sloppy at times, and yet they're only down 2 points right now. I think Howard's got to put on a run of points here and build themselves a nice cushion earlier. I think they might have themselves some problems down the stretch.
Midway, first quarter.
Here's another defensive change. Cape this trip down to the 1-3-1. Passive pressure on the ball.
And again, Howard having some trouble adjusting to the switch, Ange.
Travel call against Howard.
We noticed that early in the year when we did the AI game. Dave Iman did a nice job switching up defenses, and what it seems to do is it slows Howard down enough to make him a little bit more deliberate, and they're not taking that shot as quickly as they would when they know what they're seeing each time down the floor.
In talking to the Cape staff, that's exactly what their scouting report has. They want to make Howard do that. Slow down, try and recognize the defense.
Donovan way off on that offering. And that one rattled out. Shot taken by Tony Zigman won't go down, and Cape will be hit with another personal foul.
I'm impressed with the job Rodney Smith's doing inside for Cape right now. He's really hitting the boards hard for him, and he's doing an excellent job next time down the floor. If you folks get a chance to notice, you'll see him sealing off that top man in that zone very effectively, which means Cape's going to be able to penetrate the inside of that Howard zone. And we talked before about the tendency of their inside people to get in foul trouble, and that could be a factor.
Brad Milton with a bucket. He has 4. Lemon with 4. 3:15, opening quarter. Pass from Brittingham, and Lemon will pick up the foul. Brittingham a nice feed to Wayne Gibbs, and Wayne will go to the free throw line for the first free throws of the night.
Last trip down the floor, the Wildcats recognized a 2-3 zone that Cape had and hit Brad Milton in the seam very, very quickly, and they got the shot off before the Cape defense really had a chance to set up in the back line.
Carl Lemon, remember, he got in foul trouble the final regular season game of the year for Howard against Wilmington. And we talked about bench strength. Howard has not had a lot of it this year, especially losing 2 kids late in the year, but we saw Locke come on very strong, and also Victor Faley play a great game against Wilmington.
Yeah, Huss got some help late in the year, and he brought those kids along slowly. When we had him early in the year, we noticed he was going deep a lot more than he had done in previous years, and it really paid off for him when he lost his players early.
Steal by Milton, up court to Waterman.
Same old trick, Andy.
Almost
got away with it, huh?
Here comes Donovan. Wildcats are back. Donovan will go around Raheem and bounce inside. Zigman. Lemon with the rebound. Here comes Vinnie Kent. 2:45, opening quarter. Kent baseline, 6-footer. Can't get the bounce as it rattles out. And Brittingham with the rebound. Here's Donovan. Looks like Howard's controlled the opening quarter, but not on the scoreboard.
No, they haven't, and this is what we talked about before. It seems that they're doing a lot of things right, and Cape isn't, but yet it's a 1-point game.
Lemon over Gibbs, and Gibbs will pick up the personal foul. Wayne Gibbs picks up his first, 3rd team foul against the Vikings. Hazard getting set to come in for Cape, number 20, as well as Tony Miller. Hazard the man to watch scoring-wise for Cape, averaging about 15 a ball game.
This is a good indication of the depth of the Cape bench, Steve. They can bring in a player like Harold Hazard, who has been a starter most of the year and is their chief offensive threat, and yet he's a 6th man. We're also going to see a lot of Tony Miller and also number 50, Orlando Dean. So he might give the edge to Cape from the bench, but let's see if that plays a factor later on in the game.
And that's interesting because I think during the year, Howard, most teams they played against, they did have a stronger bench then.
Lemon, 0 for 2 on the line. Zigman with the board. Tony Zigman, an all-state offensive receiver for the Cape football team this year. He and Donovan, one of the most feared threats in Delaware this season, passing and catching the football.
And Hazard comes in and gets ready to go to the hoop in a hurry.
He's the offensive machine for Cape, now with half-court pressure. Kent with Zigman.
Doing a nicer job covering his corners now, Ange.
Cape reacted very well that time. They have been paying much more attention to that lob pass.
Nice feed. Waterman to Vince Kent, and a foul against Cape.
And that's what you got to have to beat it. They got to have Stanley penetrating against that pressure. That time he got a nice step inside, continued down to the lane, and then made a nice dump-off pass. They've got to have him penetrating against that half-court press.
Rodney Smith picks up his first personal foul, and Victor Faley will be checking in for Brad Milton. Joe Hussey will alternate 2 guys off the bench, and he'll bring them in pretty much at will for just about anybody. Kent. Excellent shooter from the free throw line as well as the field. 1:41 to play. First quarter, it's 11-9 Howard. Opening round of the 84 boys basketball tournament. Don't forget, we'll be with you throughout the tournament. Right after this game, we'll announce what game we'll be doing in round 2. Steal by Raheem. Here comes the water bug. Stanley wisely slowing it down as Miller gives defense. Chris Miller, number 13.
Cape back to a man-to-man.
Kent. Nice. Over Rodney Smith. Kent with 6. Donovan. Zigman. Good.
Nice move.
Tony Zigman with a bucket. Pulls Cape within 3, 14-11. Orlando Dean getting set for the Vikings.
As first quarters go for a tournament game, we're seeing a good one right now, Steve, and if this is any indication of what we're going to see later on, the folks are in for a great game.
Foul on Zigman.
Josh Bain and Jack Bailey are doing an interesting thing right now. They're trying to keep control of the game, and they're going to call a couple of these fouls that kids try and get away with early on. That's going to make for a better game later on, too, because the kids will know right away what they're allowed to get away with and what they're not allowed to get away with. Good job by both referees tonight.
Carl Lemon on the free throw line. Howard already in the bonus. Lemon with 4 points. Can't get the bounce. Zigman with the board. Here's Tony Miller. 45 seconds, opening quarter. Orlando Dean, the big man inside. Fairly tipping. Kent there. Vince Kent will come up with it. Waterman, nice bounce pass. Victor Fairley. Can't get it, but Lemon comes in to tip it home. Oh, Lemon, the big man, getting down the floor very nicely. Steal by Waterman.
Factor Howard needs. Carl Lemon inside. I've said it all year long.
Good move by Kent. 18-11, Cats by 7. 15 seconds left.
You know, and the interesting thing is he didn't score either bucket, but Stanley Waterman did a big part in both of those baskets.
Yeah, travel. Orlando Dean using both feet as pivot feet. That's not allowed.
Super assist right there before the steal, and then Stanley comes down the other way and picks up a steal. Cape had a chance to go within 1, and now they're down by 7. 2 big plays by Howard.
10 seconds left, opening quarter.
That takes a lot of steam out of you in a hurry in the first quarter.
It was 12-1 just moments ago. 1 second, that'll count. Kent can't get it down. That would have been Kent's 10th point of the night. He finishes with 8 for the first quarter, and the Wildcats up by 7 after 1. We'll be back with the second quarter after this. Glasgow High School, and Angie, this time you have a message from the Delaware Secondary Schools Athletic Association, who is very kind to let us do this tournament.
That's right, Steve. Reminder to our fans that this game is being broadcast by the authority of the Delaware Secondary School Athletic Association. CASA membership is composed of 68 secondary schools involving over 20,000 athletes. These schools have voluntarily united themselves for the purpose of promoting and regulating interscholastic athletics. Membership has set up the necessary machinery to establish uniform playing rules, maintain eligibility standards for students, and conduct rules clinics for coaches and officials. CASA stands firm in its resolve to safeguard the physical, mental, and moral welfare of Delaware high school students and to protect them from exploitation.
He memorized that.
That was good, Angie.
He's been practicing that all week at work. He's been walking around reciting that on the floor.
Well, fans, we know where the intelligence is in this trio. Back to the action, guys. Back to the action.
Opening minute of the second quarter.
The action. I thought you were going to turn that page over and keep reading.
What page? 7:40 in the second. It's 18-11. Donovan's going to have a lot of trouble to get that one. Another turnover against Cape. Wildcats scored 6 unanswered points late in the first quarter, and that's the difference right now as they lead 18-11.
This is exactly what Bud Hitchens didn't want to have happen early on in the game. He wanted to control tempo and not let the Wildcats get into their full-court game. He's allowed that to happen. They're going to have to get back into their own tempo or else they're going to find themselves in trouble very quickly.
Kent with 8 in the first quarter. Lemon inside, deflected away. Raheem coming down to get it. Barely saves and closes out of bounds. Seven-minute mark, second quarter. Cape making the long bus trip up here to Glasgow to take on the Wildcats.
Need a bounce pass right there, Joe.
Yep. Waterman, nice look. Here's Kent, got hammered. Tony Zigman picks up his second. And I believe he's going to have to take a rest here. 18-11, Wildcats, 6:49 to play second quarter.
Hustle's really going into that baseline play right now. What Cape's doing is they're in that 2-3 zone, and they're trying to play Carl Lemon inside with the corner man at 2-3. And what Joe's doing is running Kent on that baseline, and nobody's picking him up. So they got to make an adjustment and start using the middleman at 2-3 on Lemon, and they got to swing the corner man out. And they haven't done that yet, and that's how they're still getting the ball to the corner.
Zigman and Hazard check out.
If Cape's keeping his shot short, we're going to see Vincent Kent not having gone very far from his little spot over here to the left of the basket. And they're going to have to do an effective job to shut down. That's him receiving the ball in that spot.
Kent with an even 10 points.
I think the other interesting thing is that what Cape has done is they stopped Stanley Wooderman and Raheem out front with that 2-3 zone, but they're giving up the shots to Kent, who's been scoring for Howard all year long. I think they've got to start making Stanley Wooderman and Raheem shoot from the outside more.
Kent's been playing varsity basketball at Howard since his freshman year. Donovan, his third shot. 1 for 3 on the night. Battle underneath. Nice play by Dean. He can't get the bucket. Here comes Lemon out to Waterman. Stanley on his own this time. Nice move. Oh, can't hit it. Raheem right there for the follow.
It's Howard basketball at its best. Kick the ball up the floor, go for the layup, and if not, look for the follow-up. Here they come again.
Kent with the board. Milton, yes.
Bud Hitchens has to be thinking timeout right now, I think, Andy.
24-11, and exactly what Hitchens will do. The Wildcats have scored 12 unanswered points, and they get a nice ovation here at Glasgow High School. And Howard coming in as their number 2 seed, Coach. And as we look through some of the ball clubs that played this afternoon, a big game over at Newark between Sanford and Brandywine. Everybody expecting Sanford to win this as they went undefeated in the Independent Conference, 16-4 overall in the year. But they got knocked off by Brandywine. Gibbs hitting a last-second shot, and that's got to be an upset for Brandywine over Sanford.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think it has to be. But, you know, we've talked about this in earlier games. You've got to think, and, you know, look at Brandywine's schedule the last couple games going into the tournament. They had some tough games late in the year, whereas Sanford clinched the Independent Conference with a win over Friends about 2 weeks ago, and it really hasn't played anybody since then that I think would have legitimately gotten them ready for a tournament. I think that could have really impacted them today because Sanford's a good ball club that is really for real, I think. So, friendly face just wandered in. Tony Tucker just wandered over and said hello.
Tony from, of course, Wilmington High School led the Devils to the state championship last year. Now on a full-ride scholarship at Rhode Island. And I understand Tony had a rough outing when he took on Terrence Stansberry and the boys. 1-0 for 10.
Everybody that's played Terrence has had a rough outing this year.
It's true.
But I got to believe that's true. Don't you, Ange, with the Sanford-Brandywine game? I think Sanford's a much better team than losing to Brandywine in the first round.
I'd have to agree with that. I'm sure Gil Jackson's really down right now, but that doesn't take away from the fine season he had. How about Delmore over Dickinson downstate this afternoon?
There's the upset. We said you got to look for an upset in the first round. We thought it was going to be Sussex Central over Wilmington, which it wasn't. It ended up being Delmore over Dickinson. Every tournament you got to plan on an upset every round. It's happened since they've had the tournament.
Dickinson, one of the favorites in the tournament, as Orlando Dean misses and Kent has the rebound. Sussex Central getting blown out by Wilmington.
That's right.
That's a little dig right there.
He's going to remind us. I just got a little note slipped in front of me. It's not we. It's you and I, Aaron. We picked Sussex Central. Steve picked Wilmington.
Had to have some faith in it.
He's going to try and slip in that he picked Delmar, too, next thing.
Well, I was thinking about that. You guys wouldn't let me get away with that one. The Wildcats, big upset today over Dickinson. That game played at Seaford, and Cape's having all kinds of problems. Waterman on the drive.
Oh, yeah. Nice move, Stanley.
26-11.
The sheriff, isn't it?
It's it. The sheriff for the water bug. Angie likes the water bug, and Joe, I know you like the sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, he's a player. That's a great move right there. Got the steal and took it right in.
Stanley Wooderman, I think, has been doing the job right now to put Howard into the streak. We've talked about the big man. We've talked about Milton and Kemp, but Stanley's been in the middle of every big play right now to give Howard this lead.
Here's Milton, has Kent on his right. Brad will get fouled. He'll get a chance to shoot two. Cape having their problems as Troy Brittingham picks up his second personal foul.
Looks like Cape's getting a quick trip right back down Route 13 right now. And let's not forget that in our first meeting this year, Howard had a 16-point lead in the third quarter and let it slip away, and it still became a great game down towards the finish. That's not to say it'll happen today, but Cape's going to have to do something very quickly. Joe, your point's well taken. Stan Waterman right now is doing the job all over the floor. That's been the key for the Wildcats, jumping out to this early 15-point lead.
And that's why I enjoy doing a game on TV night where people can see things like that, because they pick the paper up tomorrow, and first thing people tend to do is look at the scoring. When I was coaching, and any time I would try and build a ball club, you give me a good point guard first and build a team around him, then put your big man in the middle. When you have those two, I think you can always have a legitimate club.
That's a good point. 4:18 to play.
Takes a special young man in high school ball to be willing to give the ball up and run an offense for a coach.
Cape has been ice cold. Milton cross court to Carl Lemon, foul against Donovan. Cape has not scored a point since late in the first quarter. Remember, Howard had a 12-11 lead with about a minute and 50 left in the quarter, and Cape has gone scoreless since. We have 4:07 left in the second.
I'll tell you, Howard's kids really look loose right now, too. They look like they're just enjoying themselves, playing relaxed basketball, and just having a good time out there. And they just really look as if they're just ready to come out and have a good time and play ball tonight. The Cape kids look a lot tighter.
Carl Lemon, 6'5" senior. So the winner of this game will be taking on Brandywine this Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Don't forget, after the contest tonight on the Kirkwood Dodge High School Basketball Report, we will have all the pairings for you.
Looking ahead a little bit to that second round, Steve, looks like we might have a Concord-Wilmington matchup in that upper bracket. That ought to be a great one.
That will probably be the game we'll do if Concord is to beat Smyrna tonight, which is expected. Concord, the number 1 seed, Smyrna, the number 16 seed. Milton, not this time, knocked out of bounds off of Lemon, they caught. It'll be Cape basketball. Waterman back in. Brad Milton sits down.
Boy, interesting scores last night in the girls tournament, huh? The downstate teams all make a mass exit again, just like they did last year, except for one team, right?
Cape Henlopen beat Wilmington 50-49.
By a point, and Cape had to come from behind to win that game.
We got to remember Wilmington with Booth Wyman would have made all downstate teams get eliminated.
Cape Henlopen here tonight having a difficult time getting the lid off the basket. We're in the middle of a 16-0 Howard run right now.
Yep. 3:20. Second quarter, Waterman working on Tony Miller. Cape now trying to defend Waterman. Vince Kent can't hit, but Bilal Rahim right there, the junior.
Cape is really getting beat bad on the second shot. They're doing a nice job stopping the first shot, but they're just giving up too many second shots in the middle.
Donovan will fire over the top and hit it. Finally breaking the streak. Howard had an 18-0 streak from the last 2 minutes of the first quarter to 2:58 of the second quarter. Waterman again.
Nobody stop watching Stanley. He's just pretty much doing what he wants to on the floor right now.
They told Stanley he probably wouldn't be able to play it, Howard. Not big enough at 5'7".
Can't measure what's in the heart, Steve, and he's got a big one.
Donovan way too strong off glass. Orlando Dean had it, but Kent stripped him.
The difference in the game is Stanley Whitterman's play on the floor and Howard's board domination right now. Howard is grabbing anything coming off the boards on the offensive and defensive ends.
Rahim, Cats are on fire. Andrew, they have to be shooting 70% here in the second quarter.
Let's not forget, this is a tournament-tested team. They went all the way to the semifinals last year. All these kids know what it's like to play under these conditions. And the Cape kids, after a long trip, and they didn't, they went a little bit in the state tournament last year, but I think most of those kids from that team graduated, Joe.
Who was Howard lost from last year? Just Michael Brown.
That's all.
And I think in a lot of aspects are stronger.
Much more well-balanced.
A lot of people probably watching saying they think they finally figured out we are losing it, saying how can you miss a 6'10" guy and say you could be a little bit stronger? But I've got to believe that Howard's playing a different style game this year. They're playing the old Howard basketball, the good transition game, the shooting from the outside and hitting the boards hard. And I think they had a tendency last year to slow up a little bit and wait for Michael at both ends of the floors and took away from their traditional game a little bit.
Orlando Dean on the free throw line.
Of course, you remember, I saw this man over here have one of his biggest wins of his career against Howard last year over St. Mark's, beat him in the semifinal game.
that's why he remembered Howard. He got knocked out in the semifinals. I was impressed with his memory, but now I just remember why.
I was hoping one of you guys would pick that up.
You nudged me and told me, you reminded me about it.
I had it. I just couldn't get a word in. That was a problem. 1:55 left in the second quarter. Raheem with the basketball. 34-15. Wildcats dominating here in the first half. But don't forget, as Angie mentioned earlier, these clubs did meet back in December, and Cape was blown out in the first half, but they made a great run to come within 2 points in the second half.
Cat's impressive here with a little weave out front, running a little time off the clock. Joe, have you seen him do that before?
I don't know what they were doing that time. Plus, usually uses a double stack delay when he runs a delay game and goes for the score out of it. And that time they were running a weave, but the thing that was strange about it was they were shuffle cutting the guard the opposite way.
A steal by Kent. 1:20 left.
He's going around the other way behind the pivot man. I didn't understand that.
That's why we're...
You didn't understand that.
Here it comes again.
Offensive foul against Kent. .11 to play in the second quarter. And Howard has taken their first time out here the second half. Remember, you're allowed 2 timeouts per half this year in high school basketball. And Howard taking their first. 1:11 left in the second quarter. It's 34-15. Howard in complete command over Cape. After 1 quarter, it was 18-11. Howard with an 18-0 run early in the second quarter. And right now, they're in complete control. Other scores today, remember, Delmar knocking off Dickinson by a point downstate. Brandywine knocking off Sanford upstate on a last-second shot by Gibbs. Also, Claymont knocking off Archmere. And this Claymont ball club could definitely surprise some people. They're in a pretty decent bracket. They're going to take on the winner of Seaford and William Penn, which is being played right now downstate. And Claymont could give a lot of people some trouble before it's over.
It's not a bad seed. What do you mean surprised? That was my dark horse early in the year, and you laughed at me when I did the preseason ratings. He didn't believe it. He said, Claymont.
Tom DeStefano believed you, didn't he?
He did. He told me.
Speaking of preseason ratings, I got them right here. We did pretty well this year, Joe.
Did we? Yeah, have to go over that, man. If we didn't do well, we won't go over them. And don't let Angie see them.
Offensive foul against Cape. We'll go the other way. 1:01 left.
Well, I can tell you one conference we didn't do well in, that Catholic conference, because I still got folks at St. Mark's mad at me.
That's true.
I picked them the complete opposite way they finished. John Fiorelli's still not talking to me. He just calls the house and insults me all night and hangs the phone up.
St. Mark's with a big win to end their season against Sally's last Tuesday night. Milton, nice look over to Raheem. Nice block. Rodney Smith with the block of the Raheem shot. 35 seconds left, second quarter. Cape in desperate need now of a shooter. Birmingham can't get it done, and Milton will track it down at half court. Brad on his own over Donovan. 36-15.
Brad Milton's playing with a great deal of confidence right now, as all that Wildcat kids are. See it in their face tonight.
You know, the thing is, like we talked about the quarter, Cape this year just doesn't seem to have a scorer to carry him. And I'm sure you remember many past years, because you were unfortunate enough to have to get paired up with him in many of the tournament games. But they've always had 1 or 2 guys to carry him. They don't have anybody carrying him right now. Nobody's going to score, and nobody wants the ball.
They don't have the big scores that they have had in past years, and we get a foul right at the end of the first half. I believe it's going to be against Carl Lemon, and that should be the second personal foul on Lemon. Cape's going to have an opportunity to shoot free throws. Keith Donovan will shoot a 1-on-1. Remember, time ran out when the foul was called against Lemon. And Donovan gets the front end, 36-16. Howard dominating the second quarter. Keith Donovan gets 1 of 2, so he finishes with 3 points, way under his average here in the first half. And it's a 36-16 lead for the Howard Wildcats. We'll be back with our halftime report right after these words. at Glasgow High School. Steve Turnberger, Joe Thompson, Angelo Rossi. At halftime, Howard 36, Cape Henlopen 16. It was 18-11 after the first quarter. And Joe, let's go back to late in the first quarter, about 2 minutes left. Howard had a 12-11 lead. They went on a 6-point surge, and then 18-0 to start the second quarter. Howard looked as good as they have all year in the late portions of the first quarter and mid-second quarter action.
I think you're right. That was the turnaround point. Cape came down, had a chance. It was 14-11. Had a chance to cut it down to 1. Stanley Waterman came up with a great assist, then turned around and got a steal, and ends up with a score 18-11. And I really think that took a lot of wind out of Cape's.
Cape Sales, right? Cape coming up from downstate. Angie, it's a long bus ride for Cape, and sometimes that affects teams, sometimes it doesn't. Cape has made this trip many times. May have been a factor coming in early.
I'll tell you what, Steve. After being in coaching for so long, they make a whole lot out of those bus rides and taking a whole lot out of you. We were never great believers in that. It's a small state. We're talking about an hour-and-a-half bus ride. Come on.
Something they don't do all year, though. They've never come up here.
That's not
One
true.
time they came up against Howard early.
But also, you know, when you're talking about the Henlopen Conference teams, Cape travels up to Smyrna. We're only a half hour from there. You know, I don't put a whole lot of stock in that.
Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Hold it. This is a man that went down to Cape Henlopen or to Dover. How many years in a row did the tournament play Cape? And the first thing you told me when you got back was, Joe, the bus ride killed us.
Yeah, there it is.
No, it was the bus ride back that killed the bus ride down.
They didn't let him stop at McDonald's on the way back.
But seriously, Steve, that might take a little bit out of them, but Howard's buzzsaw is taking a lot out of them right now. They haven't done what they said they wanted to do early on. Before the game, Bud Hitchens said that they wanted to tempo the game. They had to slow the Howard breakdown. They just haven't done that. When they do that, they might be able to creep back a little bit, but until they do it, the game's going to continue just like it is right now.
And, Joe, they're going to have to do that early here in the second half to get back in it.
They've got to make changes. I think that Cape, to get back into the game, is going to have to open the game up. And they're going to have to take a chance and try and run with Howard. They can't sit back in the half-court press right now. They can't sit back in the 2-3 because Howard's shooting right now is really hurting them. So they've got to get out of the zone. I think the only thing they can do is, my feeling would be at halftime is I'd go into a run and jump with a full court man-to-man and make Stanley Waterman give the ball up, get it out of his hands, and hope it gets into the hands of a Kent or a Milton who's not as good a ball handler, maybe get some bad shots down there. I think that's the only shot right now. They have to do something different.
We'll see how it turns out. Right now we're at halftime. It's 36-16. Howard over Cape, first round of the state tournament. Back with a third quarter tip after this. At Glasgow High School, Steve Turnberger, Angelo Rossi, Joe Thompson, 1984 DASA State Tournament, opening round. Howard coming in, the number 2 seed, Cape coming in, the number 10 seed, and thus far both clubs have played just about up to expectations as far as the seeding goes, but we expected Cape to give Howard a much tougher game here, which they did early in the first quarter, but through the end of the second quarter, just about the end of the first quarter, the entire parts of the second quarter, Howard just dominating throughout.
Good move by Bud now. We talked about this at halftime. He's gone man-to-man. We should see if he extends a full court. That's a big foul right there. That's Carl Lemon's third.
Third foul on Lemon to start the third quarter. Remember, he got his second foul when time ran out in the second quarter. So Lemon, the only man in real foul trouble right now with 3.
Cape's got to try and score the first 3 baskets of this half. That's got to be one of the goals coming out here, I would think.
Brittingham with a bomb. Got it.
One of them.
Troy Brittingham, number 32, averaging 8.5 a ball game, gets his second bucket, has 4 points. Raheem on his own the other way, and a bucket. Foul against Cape. Looked like the Vikings had positioning, but number 30 stepped out, Rodney Smith, and picked up the personal foul. His second. Bilal Raheem will look for the 3-point play.
That one hurt there. When you go in at halftime down by a score like 20 points, you can't go out and tell your kids to go out like gangbusters. I know we used to just try and set some smaller goals, and if the kids hit it, they felt they could get onto a roll, and that's why I mentioned maybe trying to get them to score the first 3, and it looked like they had it going. They had the basket down here, and it looked like an offensive down the other end, and now it turned into a 3-point play. That hurt them.
They get that offensive foul call, they would be on that roll.
Miller with the bomb, can't get it. Waterman with the board. Smallest man on the floor at 5'7". Now working on Miller as Miller gets tripped up. 7 minutes left, third quarter. We're just underway in the second half. Raheem took the extra step.
Man-to-man is bothering Howard right now.
Josh Bain and Jack Bailey working the ball game tonight. Opening round of the state tournament.
Good thing it wasn't Jimmy Sisson. Ran into him out in the parking lot tonight.
Yeah, so did a county trooper.
We're getting worried. Thought they hauled him out of here.
Jimmy gets pulled over for traveling with the high beams on.
I told you he couldn't see all year,
That's
Angie.
right.
He had to put the high beams on so you could get here tonight. He didn't believe us when we told him.
Now, he was driving the big car, and he hasn't done that recently.
That's right. That's what he told us. What a great man, though.
Kent.
Clearly, if anybody's going to get stopped coming into the game, it had to be Jimmy Sisson.
Raheem has 5 points to start the second half. Bilal with 9.
Good chance he'll be working the state final, and we ought to get one of our state trooper buddies to stop and follow him all the way down to the field house that day.
Waterman. Nice spin
pass.
dribble.
There's a charge.
There's a charge. Come to the jump stop at the foul line. Take that away. Stanley knows it.
Troy Brittingham. Stanley picks up his third. So 3 on Waterman, 3 on Lemon. Nearing the 6-minute mark, third quarter. Howard still in control, 41-20. Brittingham, he can hit.
Cape
He
getting the
gets out.
offensive
Look out.
range. Cape getting the offensive range back a little bit now. Still a 19-point differential. Nice to be sitting back with that.
Hey, they gotta really cut into this thing 4 minutes ago.
Kent makes it look easy. Vince has it doesn't.
I just don't see Cape playing that pressure defense that I've been able to see them play the last couple of years.
Smith can't hit. Again, Waterman with the board. Stanley.
It's walking there, isn't it?
Yeah. Good call.
And same thing as you said before, you got to come to that jump stop at the foul line, and what Stanley's doing is just getting down into the bottom of the jump circle there, and he's just penetrating a little bit too far.
Waterman will get a break, and Victor Fairley comes in. Haven't seen the likes of Locke tonight thus far, the sophomore. Howard going with 6 guys in their lineup. Brittingham again, not this time, and Miller controls. Miller inside. Lemon with the board, and a foul on Zygmunt. Tony Zygmunt just getting back in for Cape, number 40, picking up the personal. And Howard continues to lead by 21 points, 43-22. 4th foul on Zygmunt. He pretty much has to stay in the game right now. Milton. One man we haven't seen anything of, coaches, has been Harold Hazard, the leading Cape scorer. I don't know if he's taking a shot.
I tried to make one move to the basket down there when he came in, stepped on the baseline. He's coming in now, but you're right. Where has he been?
Keith Donovan hits a nice driving layup, got a foul, and he'll have a chance to convert a 3-point play. The foul against Victor Fairley. Zygmunt comes out as Fairley picks up his second, tonight wearing number 22 in white for Howard. Keith Donovan, nice shot of Keith as he gets a 3-point play. Donovan with 6.
Yeah, nice shooting.
Keith Donovan's been the only Cape player that's played up to expectations tonight. He's pretty much kept them where they are right now to make this anything but a complete blowout.
Kent got fouled. Cats by 18. And a 11-game winning streak snapped on Wednesday night against Concord. The Blue Hen Conference Flight A champion, our number 1 seed in the tournament, right now playing Smyrna. We'll have a final of that ball game right after this one. But Concord, no question about it, the number 1 seed with Kenny and Jeff Reynolds, both Blue Hen Conference Flight A performers, first team. And Steve Huff coming off his problems that he had earlier in the season. If there's one thing that we worried as far as Concord was concerned was the bench strength.
That's what I was just going to say. And
They haven't shown that all year, but on Wednesday night they got in foul trouble, and a couple kids came off and did a great job. Brian Butler and Bernard Lewis.
That's a nice boost going into the tournament, too, knowing that you have that, because you got to have bench strength going into the tournament. This tournament will take a lot out of a team by the time we get to the field house, which I'm sure Angie will tell you. And you've got to be able to go a little bit deeper onto your bench, and that is really going to be a factor in the tournament.
Brittingham with another bucket for Cape.
That was our only concern with Concord.
Concord right now at 20-1. They have won 20 straight games. Foul on Kent. So Cape trying to come back. They got a long way to go with 4:26 left in the third quarter, but remember, they did just about the same thing earlier in the season, way back in December, when the Cape came in and played Howard the last game before Christmas vacation for Howard. And Cape got down early, but came back in the second half and made a great game of it. Donovan from way out.
I think you're right, though. We've got to look at teams with bench strength in this tournament. I'm sure, Angie, you saw that as a factor last year with your team.
Well, you know, it's interesting to have a team play 4 games within a 7-day span when they haven't done that all year.
Right.
Teams that have been to the state final.
Nice move by Kent. Troy Miller with the board.
As I was saying, teams that have been to the state final are the only ones who really know what it's like. Getting there, winning that semifinal game on Thursday night's the big task. Friday's an absolute zoo day. In school, people want tickets. You really don't have time to think. You're still feeling good. And all of a sudden, you wake up the next day, you have a game at 4 o'clock. No time to prepare. And you're dead tired.
All right, you've got to spend that Friday just resting. Right? There's not too much you can do. There's nothing new you're going to put in. I think what you got to do is a little bit of stretching and some shooting and get them out of there so they're not thinking too much about the game.
Huss calling a timeout right now. Really doesn't like what he sees out on the floor. Good move at this point. 17-point lead. Wants to remind his kids that the game still has almost 12 minutes to go.
And I'm sure he's also reminding them of the 16-point lead they blew in the third quarter against Cape the first time they played them.
Cape has outscored the Wildcats by 3 here in the second half. Right now it's 44-27, and Joe, we'll let you take over.
Okay, this game is being broadcast by the authority of the Delaware Secondary School Athletic Association. DASA is composed of 68 secondary schools involving over 20,000 athletes. These schools have voluntarily united themselves for the purpose of promoting and regulating interscholastic athletics. The membership has set up the necessary machinery to establish uniform playing rules, maintain eligibility standards for students, and conduct rules clinics for coaches and officials. The DASA stands firm in its resolve to safeguard the physical, mental, and moral welfare of Delaware high school students and to protect them from exploitation.
Good job, Joe.
Well said, Joe. Well said. Cape Henlopen, one of the top high school basketball powers. Just can't say just downstate because they have won 2 state championships. Have appeared in a couple other ones. They won it back in 75 and 76 behind Purnell Ayers and Johnny Bishop.
Don't forget, earlier in the year, Steve, we made the prediction that we didn't think we'd see any downstate teams advancing real far into the tournament this year at all.
Caesar Rodney right now, the top club downstate.
Legitimate one, and I think they got a shot at going somewhere.
They have an excellent shot right now, especially with Dickinson getting beat by Delmar. CR playing Ferris at this hour, and Dickinson getting knocked off by Delmar. So if Sierra can knock off Ferris, they'll get Delmar in the quarterfinals. A club that they have beaten twice already this year.
That sets up an interesting matchup in the semifinals if everything goes as predicted, because it would be C.R. Howard. A matchup from last year's
quarterfinal, right?
Last year's first round game when Howard lost.
Now that's 82, Coach. 82 when they lost right here.
You beat Howard last year, remember?
When Howard beat C.R. in the first round last year at the buzzer. Hey, guys, look in the book, okay?
Well, you did say lost, and we're thinking 82 when they lost to Howard right here.
Guys didn't even give me a chance to correct myself. Howard beat CR last year in the first round.
Year before they lost, right?
That's absolutely right.
So I went to that game and scouted. Of course, I scouted Howard.
You weren't in a tournament, were you, Joe?
No, we weren't in a tournament.
Vincent Kent with the long jumper, 46-27.
Like I slid that one in there.
Yeah, that was cute. That was cute. 2:34 left in the third. Wildcats by 19.
This year you lost to Dickinson, right?
Okay, enough's enough.
Read the book. It's all in the book.
Miller missing, and Lemner with the rebound. A foul against Rodney Smith.
He made it up last year, though. He beat Dickinson last year, so he's 1-1 against me in the state tournament.
A couple of great quarterfinal games in 82 as well as 83. Dickinson, that's a team that... I'm sure that's a shock to everybody. Right. The word was going around the gym here when we got in here this evening, and Dickinson, we had the Rams at number 4 as far as seeding goes in the state tournament. They had a great stretch down the remaining part of the season. They were 1-6, I believe, to start the year, and then ran off a great streak. The only loss in the second half was against Concord. Jerry Cobb had his game on after the injury, with Milton getting another bucket.
What was that game played today?
Downstate.
I got to believe it. I was just going to say, I bet it was downstate.
That was at Dover High.
Definitely was a factor then. That had to be a factor.
Troy Brittingham taking a bus through the lane, travel call with 2:05 left in the third. Howard on top. Milton with the fadeaway, got fouled.
I have to congratulate Lee Sibley, by the way. We just found out the other night was elected to be the head coach of the All-Star team. Did you know that, Steve?
I didn't. Also the coach of the year in the independent conference, right?
That's right. Coach of the year in the independent conference. And Sibbs was just elected to be the coach of the All-Star team, and I'm sure he'll do a great job with it.
That All-Star doubleheader at Dover High School, Saturday, March the 24th. Girls game starts at 6 p.m. The boys will take the floor at 8 o'clock.
Sibbs hasn't picked his assistant yet, but usually you have a couple guys, one to coach offense and one to coach defense. That's really an offensive show, Steve. I know you've had a chance to broadcast it before.
Donovan.
And we've had great fun coaching that.
That is a great game. If you get a chance, get down to Dover, the 24th. Last couple of years, I know both years that we've done a game, both teams have broken the 100-point mark easily.
Oh, yeah. Also, congratulations go out to John Ferrelli and Vince Philbin, who tied for Coach of the Year in the Catholic Conference.
Spartans winning the Catholic Conference with a 5-1 record. As Vincent Kent gets fouled going to the hoop.
See who are other coaches of the year? Tom DiStefano in Flight B.
Jim Real
in Flight A. I'm sure Jim would trade that for a win in the first round of the tournament, though.
You know, guys, getting back to this game here, this is total domination by the Howard Wildcats. And it's a strange feeling sitting here because over the past 10 years, Cape Henlopen teams are used to being on the opposite side of the score they're having tonight. And how well I know that because we've been on the bottom end of some of those Cape blowouts.
He said that himself because he knew I was sitting here waiting for him to finish. I was just going to say he was the one playing Cape in the first round. That always was the seed for the second place non-conference. Well, Catholic Conference, whatever they want to call it, right?
Whatever.
And that was always the second seed, and that was one reason why whenever we used to tangle with Sally's, you knew if you lost the ball game, you were on a bus and heading down to play Cape, which you did not want to do.
At a packed Dover High School usually, right?
With no tickets for your fans to get in.
Harold Hazard, his first shot of the second half, and now he tips one home. Harold Hazard averaging 15, the leading scorer for Cape, as he's been coming off the bench a good portion of the season, but he has done pretty much nothing here against Howard tonight. Well, the second shot he's taken.
You know, the other thing that's interesting watching this game tonight is the following that Cape has. Usually, wherever they go in the state tournament, you will see some very rabid fans following them, waving their pom-poms and making a whole lot of noise. We just don't have that here tonight.
That's very true. I remember definitely in the state championship years, they would outnumber anybody, even if it was an upstate team.
I still see the two biggest fans sitting over there across from us, Ralph Baird and Ronson Burton.
Biggest in many senses of the word. Ronson Burton is a big man.
Bronson, of course, a member of that state championship team with Jimmy Allen and John Bishop and Pernell Ayers.
But that was a great team.
Great couple teams. Ayers and Bishop dominated as juniors and seniors, right?
Right.
Who can forget John Bishop's 44-point performance against Newark High when he was a senior?
At Smyrna.
Carl Rice.
Carl Rice will remember, that's right.
40 seconds left in the third quarter.
Okay, here's the full court Cape press that I talked about at halftime. I'm surprised they're going to it now. They got to believe they want to go to this a lot earlier than what they showed.
Steal by Dean and a foul against Bilal Rahim.
And it is effective. It's working effectively for him right now.
18-point lead for Howard as Rahim picks up his first, and Harold Hazard will be going to the free throw line, shooting 1-1. Both clubs now in the bonus.
And the interesting thing, though, is that they're pressing right now, and Huss has Stan Witterman on the bench, and that's really hurting him. This is your young sophomore year now, isn't it, Rock?
Joe's resting both Stan Waterman and Carl Lemon right now, not wanting to give them a chance to pick up their 4th personal with only a few seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
Last year, Cape finished 20-3, losing in the quarterfinals to William Penn by a point. In 1982, they finished at 16-7, lost in the quarterfinals to Newark by 4. In 81, lost in the semifinals to Howard. 1980, lost in the championship game to Indian River. 79, lost in the championship game to Concord. And in 75 and 76, they won their 2 state championships. Steal by Brittingham. Stolen back by Rahim, and stolen again. Here comes Donovan up court. Cape on a roll as Donovan gets down the layup.
The press is putting them back in it.
Now we're down to 14 points.
Up court.
Oh my. Bucket here, and they're in good shape. Almost cut the lead in half.
10 seconds left in the 3rd. 5 seconds.
Big bucket. Big bucket.
52-40, and we have come to the end of the 3rd quarter. Joe Hussey has to be concerned with the play of his club to end the 3rd quarter. Devon Brown came into the ballgame for the Wildcats, as well as Kevin Locke. And Howard not playing very well at all to end the 3rd quarter. And Cape is within 12. Same thing that happened back in December. Come back and see if Cape can keep it alive right after this. Glasgow High School, Steve Turnberger, Joe Thompson, Angelo Rossi. Looks like we have a good one for the 4th quarter. Cape Henlopen in the blue, Howard in the white. Cape scoring the final 6 points of the 3rd quarter, and they have climbed within 12 points, 52-40.
First bucket of this quarter is going to be a big one, Ange.
Yeah, we must have said something that the Cape fans took issue with, because in between quarters there, my goodness, they came alive, and we're hearing some of the noise that we anticipated coming in tonight.
Man-to-man defense still, and again, the press got him back into the game.
Kent forces one up with a foul against Donovan.
Vince Kent getting away with a little shuffle there. Moved both feet that time, and Jack Bailey picked up the foul after that.
I think Bud liked to maybe have that 3rd quarter over that first half of it. If he realized where he could have gotten with that press, he might have gone to a little bit earlier.
Second foul against Donovan. 7:36 left in the 3rd. Howard led 36-16 at halftime. And Cape has not played the kind of basketball we expected until about the last minute and a half of the 3rd quarter. Keith Donovan, Harold Hazard, and Joey Prittingham supplying the wheels as Cape is drawn within 12 at the end of the quarter, but Kent gets a pair of free throws to make it 54-40. Kent now at 14. Brittingham. As Vincent Kent tracks it down. Kent playing great basketball right now for Howard.
We'd like to have that one back, I'm sure, Aaron.
Yeah, it looks like Howard's back into the tempo they won. Stanley wasn't on the floor either during that stretch at the end of the 3rd quarter.
Waterman 12, Kent 30, feet inside to Lemon 44, can't get it. And Hazard will control. Harold Hazard, number 20. Here's Keith Donovan, number 15. Keith on his own to the hole, gets it down. 54-42, it's back to a dozen.
He's got nice speed. He's got very deceptive speed. He's a lot quicker than you think he would be looking at him on the floor.
Waterman and Vincent Kent at the guards for Howard. Bilal Rahim, Brad Milton at the forwards, and Carl Lemon at center.
No
foul
goal.
against Lemon.
No goal.
Big offensive foul against Carl Lemon, his 4th.
So new rule, I thought, was a no goal, right?
That's right.
The new rule is you either get the goal in a foul shot or no goal.
That's a big call right there. That's a turnaround. Now we have a chance, Cape has a chance to get it down to 10. Things are picking up a little bit, guys.
Carl Lemon has 4 fouls, fellas.
Remember, Tony Zigman also with 4 for Cape on the bench. Hazard, a tough shot. We're down to 10, 54-44. Howard had a 21-point lead midway through the 3rd quarter, and we still have 6:20 to play in the ballgame. 54-44, Lemon inside, got rejected. But a personal foul is going to be called on Orlando Dean, number 50.
I think right now what Howard's doing is they're trying to force the ball a little bit too much to call, because what Cape's doing is a nice job of bringing their weak side man over, and they're playing behind them. And then they've got another man fronting them down the low post, and all of a sudden they stop looking at everybody else, and they're trying to punch it in there to Carl, and I think they've got to try and rotate the ball the other way and find the open man.
Let's remember, Vince Kent really knocking him dead in the first half, too. They ought to get him the ball a little bit more, I think. And look who Cape has on Vincent Kent. Buddy Hitchens realized that Kent's the key. He puts his best defensive player in Keith Donovan on Vince, kind of shutting him down, denying him the ball right now.
Carl Lemon. This is a pair.
That's too much of that ball shooting that foul. Look at that move.
Great move by Piercy Marshall. First time we've seen him in the game. Piercy Marshall off the bench, number 22. It's an 8-point lead.
Nice.
Lemon. No, but a foul.
It's all right. Hey, you can't give in the layup, and he just missed 2 foul shots. That's a good foul right there.
Stanley Waterman with great penetration and a nice dump off. Carl's going up with a little spin on the ball instead of pumping it up strong and getting it off the glass. They got to cash in when they get the ball down in the paint like that.
Donovan has picked up his third. Lemon to the free throw line. A big game last week against Wilmington in the Flight B qualifier. 15 points and 12 rebounds.
St. Henry does an awful lot with the ball. It seems as if he takes an awful lot of time on that line with the ball into the basket. The longer you look at it, the smaller it gets.
6-point streak by Cape, which is broken by Lemon, but he gets 1 of 2. A foul on Milton.
A little bit of concern on the face of the Howard players right now. I think they realize that they've let Cape back in the ball game. Cape has all the momentum on their side right now, and Howard's trying to do something. Each one of the kids is trying to take it upon himself to stem the tide of that momentum. They have to get back together as a unit right now.
Yeah, Howard's not showing that looseness and that feeling of confidence that they showed us in that second quarter at all.
Harold Hazard.
I guess they shouldn't be right about now, huh?
Brad Milton with 2 personal fouls. Remember, Lemon with 4. Kent has 3. Waterman has 3. And Hazard gets 1 of 2. A foul's going to be called against Cape Henlopen. We'll go back the other way with Vincent Kent on the free throw line as Orlando Dean picks up his third.
You hate to see fouls like that. Both coaches, I think, we're doing a lot of walking up and down the floor right now with foolish fouls off of missed foul shots.
Then again, you got to believe right now that's working to Cape's advantage, right? Not taking much time off the clock, and they're still only 8 down.
Vincent Kent has been knocking down on the free throw line. Kent now 7 of 7.
Not going to be their advantage if they keep banging in foul shots there.
Vince Kent's the man you want with the ball in your hand right now.
Nice soft touch. Kent, one of the top shooters on this Howard ball club. Back to 10 points, 57-47. Cape, the number 3 club in Henlopen North at 14-6. Donovan from outside of Glasgow High School.
That was outside the arc.
Hit that one on 896. 540. Donovan has 8. Milton.
Now notice here the key is that the ball is out of Stanley Waterman's hand. That's
4
why
on
you
2.
press him.
Good move, Brittingham.
6 points.
What a comeback by Cape Henlopen High School. It's a 57-51 ball game.
That's the key to the run and jump right there. And you see it again. They've got the ball out of Stanley Waterman's hands. I think what Cape's got to do is deny Stanley, not let him get the ball back. When Stanley doesn't have his hands on the ball, Howard's not scoring down on their offensive end of the floor. When he gives it up, you got to deny him.
Milton, no.
Bad shot there.
And Howard gets a break. Knocked out of bounds by Harold Hazard.
Tough one for a Cape right there. Had the rebound, could have pushed it up. But
5:02 left in the ball game. It's a 6-point lead for the Wildcats. Milton sitting down. Victor Fairley back in.
What the fans can look for with this run and jump is the man covering the Howard player with the ball will try and turn him to one of the other defensive players. There's your jump.
Kent. Hazard with the board. Lemon's going to the bench. Paul Lemon going to the Howard bench as Milton will come back into the Wildcats. And now the momentum is definitely on the side of Cape Henlopen with Lemon going down. And the Cape Cape right now with Tony Zigman, one of their top players, still on the bench, and he's been there through this entire run by Cape Henlopen.
How many times have we seen Carl Lemon go to bench at 5 fouls this year? They want to win a state title, they got to have him on the floor, not on the bench, and we've said that all along.
Lemon finishing with 11 points. Hazard. No. Dean got the extra step in and got the bucket. 57-53 as the Cape following finally gets something to cheer about. 4-point ball game. Waterman gets the band.
Oh, my.
There's Howard's player to game tonight. Win, lose, or draw.
Milton, and he got fouled.
That's a big steal right there. But Stanley Waterman, win, lose, or draw this game tonight, he's got to be Howard's player to game. He's doing a super job on the floor.
He's over here right now talking to the Howard coaches. You wouldn't know that he's in a ball game right now. Cool, calm, and collected.
The captain of the Howard Ball Club this year, 5'7" senior. Brad Milton on the line. And he can't get the front end.
Howard's missing some big fouls there.
Hazard clearing the boards. Here comes Brittingham, Troy Brittingham. Donovan from way out, short. And Milton with the flat-footed board. Out of contact going on at the Cape Henlopen bucket. Nearing the 4-minute mark, plenty of time. Vince Kent, baseline, air ball.
A strong rebound.
Piercy with the board. Here comes Donovan.
Things are definitely picking up here.
Piercy Marshall got tied up in the air, forced it up, and it's going to be Howard basketball.
I know Bud Hitchens wants that shot back right now.
It's a horn ball.
Waterman. That would be a horn ball if Cape had anybody to bring in off the bench. They're not that deep this year. Waterman on his own. Cross court to Milton, yes.
Big bucket there.
Brad Milton with the hoop. Hazard the other way, yes. Harold Hazard, where has he been?
On fire right now, Steve.
Sure, he's hitting them now for him.
Where was he in the first half? He took, I don't know if he took a shot. He tried to attempt a shot in the early going when he came in late in the first quarter, but
the full court tempo right now is really working to Cape's advantage, and they are really picking things up.
Raheem over the back. Another opportunity for Cape. Cut the lead to 4 right now with a 1-on-1 at the other end.
This has really been a big difference this second half when Bud decided to go full court and start picking up.
Tony Zigman will check in for Orlando Dean. Zigman with 4 personal fouls. We have 3:17 left in the fourth quarter. Carl Lemon has fouled out for the Howard Wildcats. And it's a 6-point lead right now for Howard.
I didn't see Cape at all this year. Angie, you were talking to coaching staff before the game. I got to believe them coming in slowing down tempo in the first half. That's something they weren't accustomed to, right?
Maybe right, Joe. I was kind of surprised to hear him say that.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the pregame.
Raheem with a great save, but Marshall comes up with it. Piercy Marshall to the hole. Oh, my. Piercy Marshall off the Cape bench.
4 points. This is the kind of game Cape likes to play. Up and down the floor, full court transition.
Waterman almost got it stripped. Fairly hesitating and hitting.
Nobody's missing now. These nets are burning up.
Big bucket for Fairley.
Going to have to replace him the next time out.
Bill Conley was just looking around to find the new ones. The AD here at Glasgow. 2:45 left. Another long jumper. This is way off, but Donovan with the board. Keith Donovan has 10.
For as boring as this game was in the second and third, it's exciting right now.
Piercy Marshall picking up his second personal foul. Stanley Waterman will make the long trip down the other way to shoot 1-and-1.
Keith Donovan on fire for Cape right now, being the glue that's holding them together. What a show, huh, guys?
It's been a whole different ball game second half. We keep telling Turnberger we know what we're talking about. I know he disagrees with us sometimes.
He just said Cape's bench wasn't deep.
Cape's bench wasn't deep. Went with a full court press. They're in the game. This is a big one here. They're all big, but every basket they score now, they're cutting leads in half. And that's the big key you want to emphasize when you're sitting on that bench as a coach.
There's a man.
Donovan.
That's in. Oh, my.
63-61. Cape was down by 20 at halftime.
That was from 4-point range.
Foul again on Marshall.
Not a bad foul. I think you got to put Howard on the line right now. What do you think, Ange?
You made that point a few minutes ago, Joe. That's the way the game's gone right now. They're putting the right people on the line, too.
Right.
We haven't seen Vince Kent on the line since he made those 2 foul shots. I think it's a calculated move to foul Raheem when he has the ball. But let's see if Bilal can knock these 2 down and put this, put a little bit of calm into these Cape crowds.
I think Howard would have to beat me from the line these last 2 minutes. Big foul shot.
(64-61). Bilal Raheem, the junior, on the free throw line.
Clocks are off. Oh, that one will kill you every time, won't it, Ange? That's a coach's nightmare, giving up the rebound off a foul shot.
Miller.
10.
Yes.
Steve, the clocks are off.
You're right. 2 second, 1 second different now. Now it's
We got
a
a
3
minute.
second difference.
All right. Now, it's been a 2 second all along.
Well, now it's 2. It was 156 and 159 a second ago. 66-63. The Vikings of Cape Henlopen have joined within 3 points with 1:55 to play in the 4th quarter. Cape Henlopen at 14-6. Howard coming in at 19-3.
You know, Steve, this is the kind of game where that 2 timeout rule for half really hurts you as a team when you're trying to make up a big differential. You need a timeout to give your kids a break. Cape just taking that timeout, knocking it down to 3. Tony has 1 left. You know, after the game last Tuesday night, we went back to work on Wednesday, and the good folks at Avon told us we screwed up that college and high school ruling, the differences between the timeouts in colleges. Steve, did you look that one up over the weekend?
You didn't tell me that there was a controversy on that.
Hey,
As far as the TV timeouts?
Jumbo Jim Snyder straightened us out down at work, and he gave us the rule interpretation on it, but he was interested in hearing our theories and the way to get around it. He didn't think us coaches thought of those kinds of things, but
1:55 left, 66-63. Both teams with 1 timeout.
one of our friendly advisors at Avon. Jim always keeps us on our toes. They're going back to the foul line. I don't think it's a bad move. I think they got to beat you this way.
It's almost as they've instructed Marshall to do the fouling. He's picked up 3 in the last 50 seconds.
Donovan can't because he's got 3.
That's one player Cape can ill afford to lose right now, Keith Donovan.
Brittingham's going to get back into the Cape. That's an interesting move. Here's Marshall's coming out. The Cape fans go crazy. Oh, gee.
Bud had the towel out, but pulled it back in and threw it to the other guy.
That's great. The entire Cape cheering section on the other side protesting. Marshall going out.
Big
Orlando
rebound.
Dean. Here's Marshall.
Look
He's
out.
the one that was supposed to go out. And a foul. Kent.
That was the man supposed to be out of the game. That's right. But he's just hit 3 big jumpers for Cape.
Had a couple of big steals here in the 4th quarter.
Bud, being a cool, calm, collected coach, we all would be in the situation. Of course, just shook his head and said, "That's right. You're right. You're in for the wrong guy. Get in for the other man they were already on to."
We're looking at a 1-point differential now if he can both of these foul shots, and we're going to have an exciting minute 45.
Just got to look at the Howard bench behind Stanley Waterman, and they all look worried. 2-point game.
They ought to be worried. Cape is circling the wagons right now, and they're coming out with everything they got.
I still think it was the bus trip up here. It took them a little bit of time to get
I
loaded
knew we
up.
were going to hear about the bus trip. New ball game on that.
Marshall gets 1 of 2, and Bilal Raheem made a nice move to the bucket.
Nice play.
Cape had 3 men around the basketball, but Bilal Raheem came up with a great play. Donovan.
Poor shot there.
A 4-point lead, 68-64, and Donovan hurrying just a little bit too much. Plenty of time after 129.
But we say 4 shot. You know, Keith doesn't want to push the ball to play. They got plenty of time, but still, you got to remember, that's what got Cape back into the game. And the young man was doing what he's been doing the whole second half. He's got to go to the bucket and go with his best shot. And that time, I think he did tend to force a little bit, but you can't fault him because he's done the job for him in the second half.
Raheem, coast to coast.
That was impressive. Very
Kent.
impressive.
9 for 9.
difference has been that Howard has been coming up with a big key play when they need it.
Ken, that's his
Every
first
time they
miss
need
of
a
the
big
night.
turnover, a big steal, they come up with it.
5-point difference. Howard. Here's Donovan. It's been just about all done from the outside in this stretch. Donovan again.
It's in.
Got it.
What a shooter. I'm really impressed with the way he can shoot.
69,
That's
66.
5 seconds.
Turn it over. Cape will have it under their own hoop. 1:11 left.
Raheem got the ball, thought he had 5-second call, or 5-second count again, and he only had about 2 when he got it. They score this. We got difference of 1 and all 1s on the scoreboard as far as time is concerned. 1:11.
Marshall, air ball. Raheem with a big rebound.
Raheem's doing a job here in this stretch.
Now I think they're going to stop the clock.
No.
They're going to try to fix the clocks.
Right. Well, one says no time. The one that said no time, the buzzer went off on. Well, the game's over, right? The buzzer went off. If we were downstate, they'd try and get away with it. What do you think, Ants?
Well,
Home court advantage.
This one clock over here went from 101 to 0.
Right.
That's what Huss wants it to do right now.
Huss is saying the buzzer went off, the game's over. See?
Huss is a little excited right now. He wants to get the game over with. I don't blame him. When you've lost a 21-point lead, and now you're fighting for your life.
59 seconds left. Josh Bain and Jack Bailey trying to settle Huss down a little bit here. 69-66 game.
I think the other thing Huss is concerned about, though, Ange, is 2 times in a row now they've had the press broken, and what they're doing is they keep giving Cape an opportunity to get a steal on the press or set up a foul. That time, Stanley Winterman had the ball on his way up the floor. The last time, Raheem had the ball with a man open down this end of the floor and getting ready to throw it to him. So Huss is saying, hey, you're taking 2 layups away from me already. Let's get things straightened out so I can get out here, attack the press, and get the game going.
See Joe shaking his head and wiping his brow here. It also gives Cape an opportunity to catch their wind and get their heads together, as you just said, for this final, I guess it's going to be 49 seconds once they get the clock situation straight there.
59.
59?
They're going to run them both down now.
59, but the other thing is, remember, we're getting a timeout here by both teams. Nobody's getting charged to it, and that's a big advantage in the last minute here.
Here's a good look at the Cape Henlopen huddle. Bud Hitchens with his jacket off there, having taken over from Ralph Baird, legend in downstate coaching. Buddy's been at the helm down at the Cape for the past 3 years.
They knocked off in the quarterfinals in both of their seasons thus far. Now it says a minute. I believe they're going to bring it down to 59 and let it stay.
Yeah, they got it on 59 up here. This one's still reading 0. I hope for us' sake the buzzer doesn't go off again. Now that clock should be 51. We won't say anything. 51 on it when the second buzzer went off. So I looked up here at this one.
Foul against Howard.
Huss knew it
Donovan
too.
got run over.
Keith Donovan did a nice job. Boy, I'm impressed with the way that young man has played tonight.
Waterman trying to get loose, did not see Donovan and just ran him over.
Now this is why.
It's a 1-on-1 also, guys.
This is why, if you're watching, this is why Huss is upset.
5 fouls on Waterman.
Oh, that hurts it.
There you go.
Because Huss had the press broken twice. They stopped it because of the clock. And now what happens is Cape gets the ball back because of the fact they had to set the clocks up again. They get a steal and they lose Stanley Waterman. If I'm Bud Hitchens right now, I'm going to press with everything, including the cheerleaders and the band right now, because Howard's going to be in trouble against any kind of full court pressure.
And a 5'9" sophomore is checked in for Howard. Devon Brown played a little bit in the first half. Donovan.
And circle that number 20. That's the guy that have to go to the line and beat me right now.
We know, guys, as a coach who's just seen a 21-point lead get knocked down to 1, and you see your best 2 players sitting next to you, you have to wonder
What
the heck's going wrong.
Exactly. 2-point lead. Hazard comes up with it. 55 seconds. Plenty of time for Cape, and that should be Cape basketball. It's going to be Howard ball.
Howard ball.
So they got knocked out in the middle by a Howard press.
They've got to let 20. They got to let Brown get the ball, and then I got to be thinking of fouls right now.
50 seconds. Milton.
Here's Brown with the ball. Now you're thinking foul.
This is a kid right here.
Sophomore.
Oh,
Nice job. Broke the
Nice
press.
job getting it up. Got to foul him.
Devon Brown, 40 seconds. Raheem.
Don't want to foul Raheem.
35. Lost the ball. Hazard with it. With 30, he turned it over.
Carry. Good call. Carry.
Kid with 2 excellent chances after Donovan hit a free throw and missed the second offering. Cape came up with the rebound. Ball got knocked out of bounds after Howard turns it over. Cape gives it right back.
Now,
30 seconds.
You got to get down to at least 20. Not even 20. You got to get down about maybe another 5 seconds. Then if you think of the foul. And here's a man you got to foul.
Not intentionally, though. Not intentionally. Remember, it's a 2-point game right now, and Brown's going to have a chance to hit 2 of them.
It's a good call by Jack Bailey.
Devon Brown's going to knock him down. Watch this. This is where young players are made, right here. A lot of pressure taken off now when it's not 1-on-1. You know you have those 2 shots coming your way.
69-67 with 29 seconds to play. Victor Fairley, the only Howard player now in the lane.
Taking a lot of time on that line, and too much time on that line.
He recocked on that one.
Put the foot on the nail and throw it up there. That's all he can be thinking right now. He makes this one. It's still a 3-point lead, and the basket won't hurt you down the other end.
That's his style, it looks like, Joe.
Yeah.
Missed them both.
I foul him every time right
25 seconds. Remember, he's only a sophomore.
And I'll tell you what, OT's a factor. Howard does not want to go into overtime.
There it is.
Donovan, 15.
Look at this shot.
Yes! With 15 seconds, and the Cape takes their last time out.
Howard does not want to go into overtime with Wooderman and Lemon sitting on a bench. I guarantee you that. What a shot by Donovan.
Keith Donovan, the man of the hour right now for the Vikings of Cape Henlopen. As a lot of people thought they were out of this ball game midway through the 3rd quarter, and I'm sure we had to be thinking the same thing, that it was going to be a Howard runaway throughout this game, but they have made a great comeback, one of the best we've seen throughout the state tournament, and certainly the best we've seen this year.
And the difference has been the fact that Howard came out the second half and decided they're going to hit them with what they got to the tournament with. When you get into the state tournament, you got to go with what got you here. Bud went back to his style of play that I'm sure they played all year long downstate. Full court basketball, pressuring the ball, hitting the boards. It's a different Cape team, man.
Well, you know, let's look at these last 17 seconds here. Interesting to see Cape call their last timeout after they scored. But it's a great move, keeping in mind that Stan Wooderman's not in the game right now.
That's right.
They want to set up their press and go for the steal. You're not going to see them taking the foul right now, I don't think, Joe.
No, I wouldn't. You don't want to foul now. I think they got to let somebody shoot the ball. They got to be looking for a steal, and I'm sure what Bud's doing is he's got to be setting up his last second play because the Howard kids are going to expect a timeout down this end of the floor. Bud doesn't have any. I'm sure Bud's got a last second play set up so that as soon as that ball goes through the hoop, if Howard does score, it's coming back up the other way in a hurry.
Howard still with 1 timeout left.
Not only that, I think Cape would be very happy to go OT right now.
Somebody's gone long. Howard has no, or Cape has nobody deep. You don't want to foul Kent, that's for sure.
12 seconds. Raheem. 10 seconds. Bilal. They got a timeout to burn. Kent.
Oh, my.
6. They're taking an awful lot of time. 4. Kent with the basketball.
Oh, my.
Bailey.
That's in. Nope.
Going to overtime. The Wildcats of Howard with an excellent chance to win it in regulation, but just did not make any kind of penetration to the hole.
Don't know what they were thinking.
They
that
had to
time,
know how much
Steve.
time was left.
Don't know what they're thinking. I'm expecting with the way they came down the floor, I thought they were going to call a timeout and set up a last second play.
We're going to take a break and come back with the first overtime. Cape Henlopen erasing a 21-point deficit, and they're back in it at 69. Back after this. Back out of boisterous Glasgow High School, the Cape fans finally had something to cheer about. Howard having a 21-point lead erased. They led by 21 midway in the 3rd quarter. Now we're going to overtime. And
hit it on the way up.
Kent got it early. Good call.
Was a good call. Hey, I'll tell you what. Cape nails this one. Us is in trouble.
Cape with the basketball. We have just started The first overtime. Remember, 3 minutes in overtime basketball in high school.
Stanley Wooderman on the bench. Boy, that's...
Along with Carl Lemon. Steal and a re-steal.
They're not going to
Dean.
But they're going to miss Stanley a lot more.
Piercy Marshall to the hole. No, Piercy gets his own rebound. Off the deflection from Kent. Inside, Hazard with an air ball. Brad Milton with a big board. Devon Brown now will run the show, the sophomore.
I like that. He waved everybody off. He wants the ball.
Brown on Donovan. Keith doing a great job. And it's going to be Howard basketball. 2:31 left.
Foul on Donovan. 4 fouls on Donovan.
Devon Brown on the line again, shooting 1-on-1 this time.
So 4 on Donovan and 4 on Zigman, but he's not out on the floor right now from Cape.
Just put it up there, Yvonne.
Strong. Milton, big board by Brad. No, Kent can't hit. Brown with a rebound. Left hand, no. Here comes Troy Miller. Tries to go around Milton. Good help by Bilal Rahim.
Saw he was outnumbered, backed it out. Very, very good job that time.
2:10 left in overtime. 69-69. Hazard, he's been a key.
Oh my.
Hazard now in double figures for Cape. Remember, did not score his first bucket since midway in the third. Marshall with a near steal, but he has picked up his 4th. That's 4 fouls on Marshall, 4 on Donovan.
1:56 left in the first overtime. This is the first Cape lead tonight, isn't it, fellas?
I think it is, Andy. I think you're right. Remember, Howard was up 4-2. Remember we said Lemon had 4.
Donovan hit that first
Cape
jumper.
had 2.
That's 5 fouls.
5 on Marshall. He picked up 3 in a 50-second stretch in the third quarter.
There's one of your keys to Cape's comeback right there, coming off the floor, number 22.
Piercy Marshall doing a great job off the Cape bench. Troy Brittingham has checked in for Marshall.
Let's remember, for the fans' sake now, that with overtime, each team gets 1 timeout added to what they had previously. That means Cape, since they used both of their timeouts in the second half, has 1 more. What do we have on Howard, Steve?
Howard should have 2. They had 1 left over. 71-69. Cape by a bucket. Steal by Brown. Miller got it right back. Orlando Dean to the hole.
Block.
Foul against Vince Kent.
Vince moved into him. He had good position, but the last minute he shuffled his shoulders to the side and threw the block. Good try, though. That was a strong move to the basket, though.
Talking about Vince Kent, when was the last time he touched the ball on the offensive end?
Keith Donovan shut him down.
He had it in the corner right before regulation concluded.
Keith Donovan has really done a job defensively on him, though. Once he scored from the floor, I know he's hit a couple fouls down here, but I wonder if he's got any field goals this quarter, Steve.
No field goals at all in the fourth quarter. Had 1 in the third quarter.
That's the difference. 1 field goal in the second half.
He had 3 field goals in the first quarter. Finished with 8 after 1 quarter.
Now it's Cape's turn not to put it away on the foul line.
And you got to remember that number 50. Right now, coach has to be thinking, who's he going to foul to beat him?
Odd score, 72-69. Howard was up by 20 at halftime.
Cape giving him a different look that time. 2-2-1, 3-quarter court pressure.
And you got to feel for Stanley Wooderman and Carl Lemon right now, because they are 2 intense and worried young men standing over on that bench being helpless right now.
1:35 left.
Cape's back to their zone, Angie. Went back
Good
to the zone
move.
3 overtime. Was a good move by Bud.
Got the lead, up by 3. Now he's going to force it.
It's not the same Howard team on the floor without Waterman.
He only had, and keep the ball away from Kent, they'll be all right.
Milton, no.
There's a big rebound.
Rahim knocks it down.
Rahim is doing a job on the boards for them. If he wasn't in there rebounding them right now, great rebound for Howard. Howard would really be in trouble. Howard's coming out. That's a backcourt. Missed it.
No, all 3 got to be over. That's not backcourt.
Dean, big bucket.
Oh, no, he only brought his foot over. You're right.
Orlando Dean makes it 74-71. Under a minute in overtime. Howard and Cape. Rahim from way out. Can't get this one.
Vince Kent.
That'll be a big bucket. 74-73.
There's your player, Ange.
Howard still with 2 timeouts.
Full court press.
39 seconds.
Nobody deep.
Brittingham, as he's grabbed by
That's two there. That's a two-shot foul. Got him by the wrist.
Intentional foul against Milton.
Not a bad foul there.
Brittingham will be shooting 2 personals.
That's not a bad foul. Brittingham had penetration that time, and if he hadn't gotten a hold of him, I think he might have been looking at a 2-on-1 and a layup possibility.
Devon Brown, number 20. Brittingham. Shooting 2.
There we go again.
Both teams are going to regret looking at their foul shooting.
Hussey wants a timeout.
Good call by Joe.
Milton will call for it. So Howard takes their second timeout here in the second half. Remember, they also get one in overtime. So Howard and Cape both with 1 timeout left. We have 34 seconds to go. It's 74-73, Cape Henlopen over Howard. Don't forget, right after this ball game, we'll have the Kirkwood Dodge High School basketball report. We'll go back to the studios and review what happened tonight and this afternoon in the first round of the boys basketball tournament. Give you the pairings for Tuesday night's play in the quarterfinals. Also look at the girls state tournament. That's right after this one. In girls action, St. Elizabeth, Cape Henlopen, Del Castle, and AI DuPont all advancing with big wins as expected for the girls basketball teams throughout the state of Delaware. And right now it looks like St. E's, AI, and Del Castle the favorites to advance to the semifinals, with St. E and AI both being paired in the same brackets. They're pretty much a shoo-in to be a game in semifinal action. That'll be on Wednesday night. The girls tournament continues tomorrow night, Monday, and we'll have all the pairings in the sites right after this one. 74-73. Troy Brittingham will have another chance.
Big foul shot right here, obviously, because it can be the difference between an even or an odd differential. Both teams in their huddles going over their last 34-second plan right here. And I'm sure Huss told his kids to be patient at the other end.
Can't get it. Kent lost it. Hazard came up
on
with
the
it.
line.
Stepped on the baseline. No bucket.
Good call right there.
That's a good call. Josh Payne was right on top of it.
32 seconds left.
No press, half-court press. Give him another different look, another good move by Bud. He walked.
Victor Fairley.
Nice move by Bud Hitchens, Angie. Went from his full-court press to a three-quarter court press and really caught him off guard with it.
Howard still did a good job breaking it, though. Just a little bit of problem controlling the basketball, causing his feet to shelter.
Nobody back deep. We got to look for a man breaking long. Somebody's thinking layup. Foul 50.
Foul.
Yeah, the foul against Raheem.
We got a
Orlando
1-on-1 here.
Dean will shoot.
We got a foul, Dean.
24 seconds to play. 2 shots.
2 shots.
2-shot personal. Now it's a 1-and-1. Zach Bailey definitely indicated 2.
No. He's calling 52.
52, Steve.
Okay. 1-and-1. Raheem with the personal.
As we said earlier, foul shooting being the difference down the stretch. It got Cape into the overtime. It's going to hurt Cape in this overtime, maybe.
Kent with the rebound. 20 seconds. It's a 1-point game.
Us taking timeout, run it down to 10 and take it, or is it gone up?
Raheem from 15. No.
Oh, big miss.
Still
Foul. We
failing.
got a foul. We got a foul.
No
Foul on
bucket.
22. Barely. 50. Dean is going back to the line again.
10 seconds left. Still a 1-point game.
Well, Huss might have ran it down to 10, Angelo, for the timeout there. That's the kind of thing, you know, people always second-guess the coach. They wonder when you're down 1, but when you're down 1, you got to do what you can to get that lead.
Motions are running high right now. Overtime, state tournament, 1-point differential.
Remember, the winner of the night's game will take on Brandywine Tuesday.
Looks like 5 fouls.
5 on Vince
Vinny
Kent.
Kent.
I'll tell you what, Dean makes this one. Howard hits it down the other end. They're really in trouble going into the second overtime. But they've done a good job, I think. Right now, you've got to compliment the job Howard is doing, staying with a hot Cape club going into this overtime. I expect the Cape to really take things to Howard in this overtime period. One thing we don't want over here right now, Steve Lee seems a little upset with Jack Bailey. They don't want a technical right now.
I don't think Jack's to the point right now. He's being very calm, cool, and collected, Jack Bailey over here, and he realized that emotions are running high, so...
Drew Butler is checked in for Howard, number 50. Sophomore. Butler and Brown, both on the floor for Howard, both shots. Orlando Dean, 1-1. No. Fairley with the rebound. 9 seconds. Steal by Dean. Foul against Howard. Dean's going to go back to the line again. He has missed the front end of 1-and-ones in the last 40 seconds. Mr. Fairley picks up the personal.
He's the man Howard wants on the line right now, but when he misses these, they have to take advantage of the opportunity at the offensive end of the floor.
You know, and the thing there, Angie, is even though he misses the foul, they get the ball back. He's on the line. 3 seconds off the clock. Now Howard's only got 7 seconds to get the ball to the floor as opposed to 10.
No, again.
Oh, but a big rebound by Kate.
And another foul.
Boy, that one will hurt you. That one will give a coach nightmares.
Brown.
How many times have we seen that where you've got inside position on a foul shot and you give up the rebound? They're the ones you have nightmares about.
Might be looking at a timeout for Howard now. They have one left, Steve?
Yes, they do.
2 more seconds tick off the clock, too, Angie.
5 seconds left. Kevin Locke is checked in for Howard, number 32. 74-73.
Hazard on the line, huh?
Harold
That's
Hazard.
the man you want on the line for you for Kate.
Shooting a 1-1. Can't get it.
And another rebound by Kate.
And another foul against Howard. Milton will pick this one up.
Been the difference.
4 seconds left.
How many times can Husk lead people to block out down there, and Howard is just not doing the job defensively rebounding on this foul shot.
That's the 3rd consecutive time that Cape has gone to the free throw line, missed the front end, and Howard couldn't get the rebound.
Dean's back on the line again.
4 seconds left. It's 74-73. Cape Henlopen over Howard by a point. Dean got this one. But this is the one that counts right here.
Hey, but you're right. This is the one that counts. But remember, Cape doesn't mind going to another overtime.
Right.
I don't think they have to mind going to an overtime.
He can ice it right here.
This is the ball game if he makes this one.
Orlando Dean went 0 for 3 in a bonus situation and gets a ball game. Cape is going to the quarterfinals. Brad Milton got to get a shot off, but it won't matter. 76-73. The Vikings of Cape Henlopen coming from 21 points down to knock off the Howard Wildcats in overtime. Big win for Howard. Big win for Cape Henlopen. They'll take on Brandywine in the quarterfinals, and we'll be back with more right after this.